Okay, so we're going to call this part 3 of Illuminate, and this is everything to do with online testing. So with online testing, you still have to have that assessment already made, so you can use the previous tutorials for creating a new item bank assessment, going to the item bank, making your own items, making your own assessment. So this is only going to help you if you've already made an assessment. So I'm going to go to the assessments, and right now I've selected the things that are the things that I've created. You don't have to do that. It can be other, like within the item bank, you can look for a previously made assessment. It just has to already be created. So perhaps your PLC members have shared an assessment with you. You can use those. It doesn't just have to be me, but for the sake of this, I'm going to show you what it would look like. So here's the assessment that I've already made. In the previous document the previous tutorial, we showed how to make that a paper pencil using this test booklet. But down here at the bottom, there's a section called Online Testing. And we're going to click on Online Testing Administration. And it's going to take you to a slightly different looking window here, and it shows Activate Instruction. Now, in order for the students to be able to log on and take this assessment, we have to add their roster. And now your students should be in here already. Within this, you can set a testing window. So whether you want it locked within a certain amount of time for them to complete this test, whether they have a time limit on the test, whether they can have pauses within that, that pop up a little note to you. So all of these are different things you can change. The locked browser, we don't have that readily available. You can go investigate with that, but I would just do any browser device. That does mean that they can pop up a new window on the iPad or on their laptops or desktop computers if they're using them in the computer lab. So you'll, of course, have to monitor as they complete this test. So here you go. So I am still within Janelle Reeds' third grade account. So third grade, there's obviously just one class of third grade students that have Janelle as a teacher. For middle school and high school, you'd see all of your sections with your rosters down below. But it's pretty simple. At elementary, you just have your class, choose all students. You can see here that there are 22 students that are going to be assigned this, and then you click Save. Now, if you had multiple sections, so if you had multiple periods, your best bet is to add one at a time. So here's one, and then you would go back and then maybe add section 2 or period 3 or your period 5 class. If you were giving the same assessment to each period, it's best to keep them separate. But for elementary, we have that one, and you can already see that the status is current, that there's 22 students, and that it is in the portal. So I'm going to refer back to Michael Watkins's handy little sheet here. And here's the online assessment overview. So we just enabled the assessment for online testing. We administered it kind of like we assigned it to those students. So here's what the students have to do. They would go to this link, which I've already popped up on this page. It comes up with parent, and this will eventually be what parents will use to access their report cards. But we're going to click on student. And then I have a username of one of Janelle's students, which is just their ID number, also their AR number, their lunch number. It's all the same number. And then the password initially is just student. It will usually prompt them to change that password. You can have them keep it as student. It's really up to you. That way you won't have to worry about them forgetting their password and all of that. Now, when they log in, all students will actually be able to see their grades from 2nd grade through 5th because they're being kept on the Illuminate report card and grade book. Other grade levels might not see this. Power School is being used at the junior high and the high school, so 6 through 12 won't see their report cards on here, but the lower grades will. But what they want to go to is assessments, this bottom link on their dashboard. And you can see on the assessments both of the sample tests that I have assigned poor Sam here. This is the most recent one, the one that I've done here at 3 o'clock according to 2 hours prior, because it's only 1:03. We'll just play with it. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the due date. There we go, that's the due date. Anyhow, there are 10 questions, and I'm just going to show you what the students see. So I'm going to begin this test. you can see that there's just one question on a page, and it mimics the Smarter Balanced assessment very, very closely, where they can jump around to different questions. They can mark it or pause it. And so it says you've paused and you have to resume. This is one of those that is just one correct answer. I'm going to just take it very quickly, not like a student would be and not like you would hope a student would take it. I'm just going to make random choices so that you see what the students see. You can also see that saved button popped up a couple different times. It saves it in real time. So say, for example, that we lose the internet and then we hop back in, they'll still be on question 5. So it's really impressive in that way. This is one of those selectable text. So I can select the word that is a noun and it highlights, that is a verb, and it highlights it for me. Just a couple more. One of those selectable drop downs. And again, I've gotten several of these wrong. Okay. So now it's done, and you can actually, similar to Smarter Balanced, you can click on a question number and it pops them back over to that question. So you can encourage them to check over their answers, review any that they were a little unsure of. But when they are done, they click on Finish. And because these were all questions that had a definite yes or no or correct answer, there weren't any constructed response essays or scores that needed a rubric to be scored, or questions that needed a rubric to be scored. Because of that, it is actually going to grade it for you. And I'll have to warn Janelle, because Sam's test might actually be automatically threaded into the grade book. So I'll make sure that doesn't happen. But the scores are loading, the assessment is scored, and the student is able to see it right then and there. Now, if there are constructed response questions that you, the teacher, would have to grade, you can encourage the student to go back at home or the next class period or the next day, check back on how they did in that assignment so that you have time to score those questions. Oh, Sam got a far below basic, which definitely is going to happen if you just quick through 10 questions very quickly. But it does show them, the student, so it involves them in their learning and in their, kind of gives them some formative feedback for what parts and what standards they really scored poorly on. Now, you'll also notice that there is this little clickable icon underneath Learn. So because Sam got a 0% on this one, on others as well, but there's actually a Learn button that pops them directly into Activate Instruction, where there are different playlists and bundles that they can then participate in order to get them so that they aren't getting those far below basics. Now, this is still a work in progress, the Activate Instruction. Some of them don't have accounts. They might have to make their own passwords. They don't have email, so they would leave that blank. I'm just going to make Sam's right here now, putting student in and authorize. And so here for Sam, he has this standard that he has to work on. So that is how you do the online assessing. Back in Janelle's version of Illuminate, so not the Home Connect, but in Janelle's, here's her overview, and now it shows that one student has taken it, Sam. He scored that far below basic because we clicked through quickly. And you can make a report based on that. So it automatically scores it for you, puts it into Illuminate. You can even have it go directly into your gradebook for kindergarten through 5th grade. So it's pretty slick. And that is all. I hope that answers several questions. Contact your CSPs if you have questions with the online testing portion of Illuminate, and then your CSPs can email me, Katie Galt, and we'll work on this together. Thank you. Have a great day.